everybody. This is the league finals match between Tracer and hakha3. I have hakha3 as 3.5 games ahead of Tracer in the division standings, which does mean that I think Tracer needs to win 4.5 out of these games in order to make up that lead, which on the other hand means that we might have this be able to be called in 2 games. Right, if Tracer just instantly wins the first 2, then the remaining 4 games become a show match, and Hakha could win all of them and still lose the finals, which would be funny, of course. We have our first kingdom here. Let me show the dang thing. 2 of them are also taking a look at everything, although they aren't looking at the text of the card. They're just looking at the pictures and the names and figuring it out from there. Coastal Haven is obviously very good at the beginning. Well, all of the allies are going to be spent at the beginning. Right. Otherwise, this is a kind of dirtily kingdom. I guess Smugglers is pretty good. Yeah, I guess, well, Importer's probably better than Smugglers. Unless it isn't. Eventually, the goal of this board, unless you want to fart around and do investment stuff for a while, which that is your right, you're going to sort of just gain a bunch of stuff to eventually... Ooh, warning, possibly lost connection with game server. I feel like I have connection with it. Yeah, so the sort of theoretical build for this is just gaining a lot of Corsairs. I guess you kind of need 8 of them in order to be able to afford provinces, but you can also probably have a couple coppers lying around. Oh, it does look like I've lost connection with the game server, and I've gotten it back. No, I haven't. Okay. So they do slightly different things, or rather they do completely different things with the 3-4 split. Tracer just aims to get a sentry right into this next shuffle. It looks like Hakha is going to play with an abridged second shuffle and probably gain a sentry here. Yep. I think that I like Tracer's outcome a little nicer, although not in practice. Investment stuff sounds like it's kind of a drag because silver and gold are just things that you don't want to have. Neither is capital. Like, those are all buys that you're just kind of wasting for the sort of ultimate goal of buying provinces. Oh yeah. I guess Hakha does just get the sentry right away if you want to. But on the other hand, if you're sort of doing that farting around and gaining investments, that deck does get to make use of mission a lot better than one that just sort of tries to get provinces as soon as you can. Because otherwise mission is just kind of a blank. I mean, it's I would say it's fairly good for importer stuff. In fact, it's probably better than anything else you could buy. And Hakka's kind of convinced of it already. Yeah, in fact, Mission is great, just for the basic purpose of playing your extra cards more, which is always true about Mission, I say. Like, people that call Mission a sort of, like, only good or mediocre card are probably not just, like, buying it in the early turns for some random extra usage often enough. Like, it has a strong niceness with Importer, which is that you can use it to either play the Importer or just wait out its, like, gaining turn as well, which is kind of what Tracer did here. I don't know if that was really the point. Maybe the point of it was just that they get to, well, yeah, they get to march the Importer and play it again. Yeah. Okay. So both decks get to make use of Mission really well. It's just that, if you sort of try to play with investments, you probably get more use out of Mission in the long term. And if you just buy provinces, you know, that forbids you from buying Mission unless you want to spend your capital money on it or something. Mountain Village, huh? Yeah, so Smugglers does look good. The key thing being that it can gain you a card every turn, and you know, you usually want whatever your opponent wants. Yeah, Wheelwright is something that I sort of expected would come up, although I don't think Tracer really has anything to do with it on this turn. I guess you can discard the Importer, gain something with it. Oh, okay. Okay, well, you can probably do something with it here. How do I get audience participation? Everybody in chat has to say whether you think 0 investments are going to get gained, or like 4 or more, or 1 to 3. Or not, if you don't want to. My heart says that it's going to be 4 or more. Although they're kind of hard. I mean, the problem is that they've already successfully trashed everything. And so you'd also have to, like, gain the things that you're trashing to investment. So I don't know. They do have to get Corsairs at some point. Well, the infrastructure that they're building right now, which is just like all sorts of, like, you know, smelly, spinny cards. This infrastructure is really good for, whoa, okay. Okay. Capital actually sort of, well, nice thing about it is that you can spend your mission turn paying off the debt, because March, I don't know, you might not get so much use out of that. I was just thinking, maybe they're like, if I, a boring player, were playing this board, I would think about trying to gain Corsairs kind of sooner, just because, like, winning that split actually does matter for how easy it is to gain provinces. Of course, If you just build the better deck for doing this, like, importer gaining stuff, you do get duchies better. And of course, those are... if you have 2 of those, it's worth the same amount of points as a province. So maybe the Corsairs don't matter at all. Maybe the investments also don't matter at all, and they just keep doing these decks that they're doing. Coastal Wave, okay, so Hakha goes right for the Corsair, being the boring player on the table, I guess. Although, really, their problem is that they just don't have $4 in their deck, and so they need to do it. It's kind of weird, I guess. Oh, I guess there just wasn't any cards gain listed. It's funny. That's sort of always an option if your opponent's deck is like too reliant on smugglers, is that you can spend a mission turn to just not gain anything at all. Like maybe that's the turn where you play all of your importers and then on your normal turn you just gain everything, which is kind of the way that it worked out for Tracer here. It's funny. Okay, so for all I talked up prolonging the Corsairs, it looks like both of them are sort of pivoting in that direction a little bit with their gains. I think there is some other thought that I had half finished, and now it is gone forever. Oh yeah, at some point I was just thinking about the way that Coastal Haven sort of... it's mostly irrelevant to this board, but the way that Coastal Haven is like basically the only card that does that thing of setting cards aside for next turn without like being a duration card. That makes it like really good for the theoretical purpose of just using your mission turn to like save cards for next turn. Like you could sort of play 5 underlings on your normal turn, or play as many underlings as you want on both turns, and then just set aside your hand for the other turn. Okay, so Tracer just that's interesting. Tracer spends all their debt on a province. I guess you don't really need to have, well, so I'm thinking you don't urgently need to have like a ton of Corsairs in order to be able to afford a province. If you just spend your mission turn getting the small amount of Corsairs. Like you spend your mission turn putting your Corsairs into the discard pile, I guess. That's also kind of weird. And it really only works if you do capital, and capital only works if you can sort of use your mission turn paying off some of the debt, and that's kind of awkward to have to do. Yeah, so Tracer, once again, Tracer has this really nice thing going on. I don't know if they planned it, but all of their like residual stuff seems to be happening on the mission turn, or rather they're playing the importers and like I guess playing the Corsair, but that doesn't really matter. Just on the mission turn, which means that they don't gain anything on it, which means that Hakha's, like all of Hakha's smuggler plays are blanked. No, except this looks like Tracer's probably going to win. Okay, and it looks like they're also heading towards the 0 investment route to sort of answer my earlier concerns. Awesome, okay. reconnect again. Oh boy. Okay, cool. On my end, I just keep getting kicked from the lobby, and it doesn't look like I have internet problems. Let me click return to lobby and see what happens. Okay. Just looks like my client can't handle the pressure of being in this game. Anytime I load it, it just like boots me out in like a couple seconds. So let me try this again. Okay. Looks like I'm back. I don't know about that order. I think you wanted to pick something up with the Mountain Village and then discard it here. I guess it doesn't really matter because it gives you the same outcome. Actually, maybe that's exactly not what they wanted to do. Okay. Definitely just really interested in that early capital from Tracer. That's that, like, I don't know. I you know, when there's people that are playing in the league finals, you just kind of figure that the choices, the sort of odd choices that they make are probably like well reasoned. um, like, oh, I guess capital is just something that the players get on this board, but I mean, it has been a little bit awkward for them. It is like a completely blank card on the mission turn itself. Of course, it lets them buy something and then also get a mission, which is nice. And they pay off like they've paid off like 1 or 2 or 3 debt on the mission turn itself. And of course, you would like if you just had a spare buy and mission cost 4 debt, you would just take it every turn. I guess you can always discard capital to wheel right if that's what you want to do. Okay, so Hakha takes the capital too. It's sort of different at this point in time because you just have a lot more money coming in at a baseline now that the Corsairs are empty. Okay. Okay, awesome. I seem to be commentating. Am I not audible? Or at least I wasn't talking at that moment. And now I'm talking. Okay, cool. Thank you. The question is whether there's good commentary, of course. And I'm not an expert on whether that's the case. This does look like piles are sort of turning low. Maybe I do agree with Hakha's duchies just because every turn that passes means that more mountain villages and importers want to get got. And at some point that, you know, hits a boiling point, I suppose. Oh. I think that's completely defensible. In fact, it wouldn't even bother me if you put me back on mute. That would be a reasonable choice. Yeah, I didn't do that again just because it created so many problems for me because I would just keep being deafened after the thing is over, and I would have to like ask somebody to undeafen me. And of course it creates all these extra bonus problems for other people. Which is part of the point. I mean, I love bonus problems for other people. That's kind of the best kind of problems. But still. Do I not make memes? I guess I don't. Yeah, so these mountain villages really suck for Hakha because they want to gain duchies or something, or they want to pick up duchies. Of course, you can discard stuff with Sentry that you can pick up with Mountain Village, and then you can discard stuff and gain stuff with Wheelwright. But Hakha definitely has to... Oh, I see that this is a mission turn. Okay, wait. So there's only one duchy in the discard. This is the mission turn. Yeah, I haven't been paying enough attention to this game that I'm giving C+ commentary on. Yeah, I feel like then Hakha probably wants to just get some importers in play and not really do that much else. Capital is interesting. Probably don't really want that. But it'd be nice to leave it on top, maybe. What can we smuggle? We cannot smuggle anything. Okay, so you want to get rid of that capital. Or you wanna sort of not leave it on top, I guess. That doesn't feel right. I would have been trying to like get a third importer in play this turn, which is a little bit scary because I guess it just lowers importers, and that's really bad. And Tracer has a bunch of crap. Tracer has a bunch of stuff in play. Okay, Tracer has 2 importers in play, which is also scary, and sort of lends itself to a theoretical turn of just gaining at least 1 duchy, and if you want 1 estate, and a bunch of other cards. Yeah, so it seems like, I mean, I made this sort of speculation that investment lets the players get more out of mission in the long term. Just kind of didn't occur to me that they will have no problem using their mission turn, which is part of the, part of just the facts of mission, is that it turns out that it's really good. But yeah, I mean, both of them are continuing to play 3 importers, and it would have been like if you tried to play with investment, yeah, you would have had to have like an extra copper, silver, and gold in your deck. You can't even draw those. So what was I talking about? Everybody could have like earned a bunch of free bonus points by saying 0 investments are gained and ran laps around me. Yeah, because you can't draw enough cards. You only have 5 cards in your hand, and you can't put in enough points for investment to outscore Duchy. So that just completely doesn't work at all, I think. I'm just sort of imagining that because these people are like the special, top of the A1 division players, that they'll find some way to draw cards on this board. I mean, theoretically you could like kind of make something work by playing a bunch of Corsairs on one turn and then trashing the investments on the other turn, which is exactly what you don't want to do. You don't want the money from Corsair on your mission turn. That sucks. Unless you're like paying off debt or something. Gains a capital. I don't know when that happened. Or how long ago that capital was gained, okay. Currently showing is the last card from a starting deck. We'll see if Tracer decides to spare it. I don't know why you would. Maybe you just like want the extra copper or something. That's very interesting. Are you like hoping to trash that with an investment and make me double back on my forecast a second time? Because I don't know why you would do that. This is like a really crummy turn. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that, but still. Sort of wonder whether Tracer would like have the wheels to try to do a pilot just by gaining a mountain village instead of a. Probably that wouldn't work. Okay, jeez. Today's just the day that the client is like kicking me out, like so often. Okay. So they only want to do one march. That doesn't make sense to me. You could have gotten 2 coursers in play with, like, basically no extra cost. But I guess they only want 1. Oh, yeah. I guess there were 2 additional coursers that got played while I wasn't looking. Okay, cool. So that sort of makes sense. Duchy. Yeah, probably gaining 2 duchies, and so you want to trip the shuffle first. Although, that means that you are doomed to, well, means that you're doomed to draw the duchy with the mountain village right now, which sucks. I think you shuffle them both in because there's, just depending on exactly what draws you get, there's like a huge threat of, well, if you get like the second importer, basically, there's a huge threat of winning next turn or winning on the mission turn. So I would actually want to shuffle them both in and draw the extra card with Mountain Village. I guess they go against that idea. If that's what you're doing, then you might as well take the duchy over, take the capital over the duchy. If you expect that it's going to end up in your hand. I don't know. That capital feels kind of suspicious. If I were to give each of the 4 capital gains of this game a letter grade, that one would be like also a C+. I mean, I don't know. I guess it's sort of nicer because it doesn't basically make you like instantly lose if you don't succeed in doing the pile out one way or another. So maybe that makes sense. It just, you have to have it in your hand in order to get the pile out going, and it also just seems hard that Hakha is going to see that capital again. Rather, they could very well see it, but it would just mean that they don't see something else with the mountain village. Although with exactly $12 that you get from capital, you can do March Mission Duchy. So it sort of poises you to get use out of the slight amount of extra money you get from the first capital, I guess. Oh, wait, but you also just had slight extra money to begin with. Also, it looks like Hakha's just going to win. Okay. And the client got so excited about the outcome of that game that it just kicked me out instantly. But this is actually the best time to be kicked out. Okay, and then I have to exit again because the cards didn't load. So to recap, that's Hakha is 1/2 of the way towards the amount of points that they need in order to be immediately given the belt for this year. I don't know if that's something I've said a few times, and I don't know if it's like a common use phrase or even a phrase anywhere, like the champion's belt, I guess. Which was in turn this thing that Dombot used to do, and I haven't seen that in a long time. I think it's just because like it was this thing where like somebody has the champion's belt. Maybe it's like Steph at the beginning, and then anytime somebody beats Steph, they get the champion's belt, and that just kind of keeps happening. It's just like secret bonus metric that is being tracked on top of all the ladder results. And I think the problem with the champion's belt, and maybe if it doesn't exist anymore, the reason that it stopped existing is that there's just like somebody named like Serpent Slayer 7777 who eventually like beats the person who beats Steph and then just stops playing, and then it just kind of gets retired. And I mean, that person, sort of gets to rest on their laurels, I suppose. All right, what's going on in this kingdom? Let me once again take a really long time to click the kingdom button for the YouTube viewers. This is kind of boring board. Not really, though. Gives you two slightly bad options for how you want to do your drawing, which is Caravan, which definitely limits you in terms of the amount of actual draw that you get to have. And then on the other hand, Scholar stuff, which is also bad because it doesn't let you play with... you should never play again if and only if the Dombot Champion's Belt is the most important thing to you possible. Okay, so it looks like they're both thinking about doing Caravan stuff, which actually makes sense because it's not actually limited, because if you really want to, you can double play some of the Caravans. And Scholar is just not a good card. Caravan has the benefit of being at least a kind of fine card. I was going to say that Scholar is good for activating Leprechaun, just because you sort of churn through your deck quicker, and if you want, you can just only play like the Inn and Scholar until you see it. On the other hand, the Scholar deck doesn't really like golds like at all. Yeah. So Caravan is the more straightforward drawing thing, and it does seem like it's just better. Maybe they also play with Scholar somehow. Probably, like, almost certainly not. The one thing is that you can use Specialists to play the gold again, or play it before discarding with Scholar, if that's really what you have to do. Yeah, it sounds like it would be very bad, unfortunately. Huh. So Tracer really feels the itch for the Treasurer, just leaving a bunch of Specialists in exile. This is like society. There's that tipping point once you see like 4 cards in exile. Like, it would have been very scary for Hakha to try to exile 2 Specialists there, even though that's sort of the highest value that they're looking at, other than the fact that they just don't have enough stuff to specialize in now, because they just have so many Specialists in these decks. Once you see 4 cards left in the pile, it's actually suddenly very likely where if you exile it to lower it more, your opponent's just going to be able to, like, maybe Tracer can double exile Specialist, gain a Specialist next turn, and that means that you have your own Specialist just kind of stuck there forever. Maybe now is where you try like an inn or something. All right. I have no quarrel with... This is one... This is one where you could have exiled the caravan and then gained it with specialist. But I guess Hakha wants to just get all the draw, which is also reasonable. So Tracer might just sort of be expecting that this is a very uninteresting game. Well, I mean, in both of those cases, if you're gonna get a caravan, you might as well do the farmland thing. So it doesn't necessarily profess any like grand plans for the farmland, but yeah. So Hakha likes the leprechaun. I guess Tracer also wants a leprechaun. Yeah, you can activate it. It's more like, can you... The hard thing is having less than 7 cards in play by the time you play it. Because you're going to end up with all these caravans and specialists sort of duration resolving. It just depends on when you find Leprechaun. That's the other thing that's never that great about Leprechaun, is that, you know, sometimes it's just at the bottom of your deck. And like any other payload card, if it's at the bottom of your deck, you're like, oh, awesome. But Leprechaun isn't like that. You like really gotta you gotta find that thing. But yeah, very likely it'll turn out that one of them... I mean, there's going to be just like a lot of draws of Leprechaun where it doesn't do anything. On the other hand, you can specialist double play it and gain 2 golds and 2 nice wishy thingies. Actually, wish in this board is at least as good as a province, because you can just gain a farmland and then trash itself, for example. But that's probably not generally what you do. But that's sort of like the minimum goodness of it. So yeah, as soon as you get leprechauns, you're just kind of like ceding a lot of control over your deck, because it means that you're probably going to have some turn where you like skip playing like 1 caravan. Can you actually do what? Do the farmland thing? Yeah, I think you can. It says that you have to... Yes. Well, it goes into your hand. Farmland is on gain. It doesn't say anything about not... Like, you can't gain a farmland with the farmland effect, but you can trash the farmland that you just gained if you want to. But yeah, when you do the leprechaun thing, you're ceding a lot of control over your deck, because there is probably 1 turn in which you just like say, all right, I guess I can't play this caravan because I want to do the leprechaun thing instead. And of course, leprechaun gains you at least 1 stop card and maybe 2, depending on what you do with the wish. Although, of course, if you're worried about it, you can just have it not be a stop card. Although this turns out that this kingdom only has stop cards left in it, more or less. I mean, the specialists are almost empty. And by almost empty, I mean Tracer is either going to gain a specialist here, or I don't know why they just exiled 1. Okay, cool. I don't know why they just exiled 1. I mean, sort of makes sense. I don't know. Hakha looks kind of poised to be able to make some use of this. Yeah, farmland, right, because the current iteration of farmland would immediately autopilot itself if you gained 1 while having a fortress in play. Except, why would you want to do that? But, you know, whatever. Yeah, so this looks like this looks like a really nice hand for Hakha, because you can play an inn, play a specialist on a leprechaun, and then sort of keep moving after that if you want to. And then keep moving after that just means you can get some camel train stuff going if you want. every single person always counts their cards again after or right before you play the Leprechaun, because you basically can't ask for the undo after you like screw it up, because it shows you a hex, and that's like sort of new info, even though that doesn't matter. Nobody wants to know what the hex is. If you ever find out what, well, I mean, it sort of spoils the game forever, I guess, because there's a bunch of choices that are based on, like, do I just like play this Leprechaun to gain me a gold, and it just sucks. And a lot of time it just completely doesn't matter what the hex is, or whether there's a lot of hexes where you can just like play it from a nearly empty hand and just gain a gold, and that's fine. But if it's like miserable or something, it's usually not worth it. So yeah, you basically can't play with the hex face up, or that really compromises the game. So you really want to make sure that you don't play a bad Leprechaun by accident. And the actual reason is because it's very embarrassing. Okay, so this is just another turn where actually Tracer is going to be able to, in perfectly good conscience, okay. I would be very worried about doing exactly this thing, although it doesn't matter. But if I were playing this turn, I would actually have probably done Specialist Caravan and then Specialist Leprechaun, and it doesn't really change anything. I mean, if you get a lot of extra, like if you do the thing where you stack up all the specialists on top of each other, then you have a bunch of extra actions, and it's hard to use those in this deck, I guess. Okay, so they're just both such epically good players that they've been doing the Leprechaun stuff with no issues, like every turn since they gain it. In definitely helps you with that, and actually the Specialist in gives you a lot of reach over the deck. Yeah, I guess there isn't anything else that you want here as Hakha. Here's the over-under for chat. 0 distant lands gains, or 1 or more. Okay. I was actually going to say 0 and be humiliated. Although, you know, that might be the only one. Because you don't want to gain them with Wish, and you want to try to be able to buy provinces. And I think that they're going to pretty consistently be able to buy provinces here, unless they sort of do stuff where they gain a farmland to hand and use it to trash a gold into a province, and it's sort of slightly more efficient to spend your extra money on a distant lands or something. Not sure how that's going to work out. I think Tracer doesn't need them, because Tracer's doing a great job buying provinces. The one thing is that it's slightly awkward to trash a gold, because your opponent's going to be able to treasure it. Maybe there's an instance, like if Tracer had a Wish in this hand, they would probably want to gain a farmland. Oh, yeah. Double play the Poacher. Do they have to do that? I guess they kind of did. There's a farmland and a Specialist. That's funny. They just really kind of don't get that. Does Fisher just have a Specialist in exile? That's funny. Yeah, I guess you like don't really want more inns. Wait, well, Tracer interestingly exiled an inn, but then didn't gain it with or didn't discard it from exile. So they huh. So they gained the distant lands with Wish instead of just provinces. Maybe that sort of makes sense. Oh, and there's also scholars being gained at some point. When did that happen? Oh, no, that makes a lot of sense right now. Cool. I would still be worried about the slowness of scoring with these distant lands. I don't know if I ever shared the kingdom with this. I think I did. Yeah, I did. The one thing that, like, you always know that you're down bad for leprechaun stuff when you like have to spend a wish to gain another leprechaun in order to like be able to play it. Like that's just like your circle in the drain there, which is of course hasn't happened, but you know. If I'm Hakha, I mean, I hope that Hakha knows about the farmland thing, or at least, you know, you ought to keep that in mind. There they all are. This is like where you play treasure and like trash a gold because you just like don't need this many of them. Or at least like take the key, I guess the alternative. That sort of makes more sense. Yeah, and so if Hakha like really wanted the extra golds, but it looks like nobody really does. This is where like you could sort of play the leprechaun. Oh, this is a brilliant hand. This is where you'd like sort of maybe play the leprechaun for an extra gold if you knew what the hex was. But the players don't know what the hex is. There's definitely room for Tracer. If Tracer had like a bigger hand size here than 5 cards, there'd be a lot of room for like scariness with respect to farmlanding stuff. I guess that doesn't really make sense. They just don't have that sort of wish real estate. Okay, maybe Hakha just wins this and then this is all over. Because Tracer also kind of seems to be circling the drain. They look like they're kind of ahead. So yeah, I'm as confused as the next person. Wow. Yipes. Okay, but then Hakha also has some drain circling to do here. I mean, surely you just play the scholar and see what the next hand is. Yeah, the next hand can buy a farmland, gain a province, so that sounds good. So Tracer has like a lot of points to make up here. And like they don't have a lot of time to do that. I mean, the way that you make up extra points on this board is by doing farmland stuff. Ooh, that's really good. But you only have 3 farmlands. I wonder if you, well, wait. If you just shuffle into wishies. Yeah, that doesn't quite do it. If you didn't have to discard 2 cards here, Tracer would be able to get 12 points. Points plus another 8. So Tracer would be able to like make a losing tie. Oh, but then of course you can just do. So they're once again staring down the barrel of the poacher. Oh, good. Yeah, this now wins. Okay. Yeah, I think that, I don't know. I was, I spent that whole game like underthinking what they could do with the wishes. Yeah, that was good. And probably like a little bit of a risky shuffle or whatever there, but I mean, if you just give Huck another turn, it would be very hard to not lose instantly, basically. Whew. There's a lot going on here. Let me show the board, of course, for the viewers at home. Oh yeah, me too. I also think that both players probably underplayed it at least a little bit. I think Hakha did a good job. Hakha was sort of the first one to notice that scholars turned good again, or maybe Hakha was the first person to act on the fact that scholars turned good again towards the end of that game. Yeah, I suspect that there's going to be 4 warlords gained in this board. I should have shown what those cards do. I cycled through them a little bit quickly. Yeah, so mission just seems really good. That's like a running theme for boards that have mission in them. But even in these like really early turns, like mission, you can like trash a card and buy an expedition, if nothing else. You always love to buy Puka and gain a curse. That's true. I mean, any combination of mission and orange cards is awkward. On the other hand, there's just like a lot of ways to like slightly get use out of it. Like if you're convinced that you can just like keep the alternating. Oh wait, curses are coppers here. Okay, so that's cool. Keep the alternating warlord and maybe highwayman plays going. You could definitely get some amount of use of your mission turns. Yeah, so Hakha does exactly the mission turn that I sort of projected at the beginning. Silk Merchant is usually good. I guess it's kind of hard to do anything really consistently, actually, because there just isn't. There isn't draw. I mean, there's like 3 kinds of draw, but you know, nothing that you can consistently. Oh, there's 4 kinds of draw that can sort of all be used without spending extra villagers. Maybe this is a board where you just get Warlord because it can draw you 2 extra cards. It's just like a big expensive caravan. Because other than that, and it's also something that turns on your battle plans in addition to like Highwaymen. And Relic, I guess. You probably get relics. I had this idea of spending the mission turn to play abundances. And you just like sort of like receive the abundance on your normal turn. That's another thing that's just hard to count on, I guess. Three Pixies sounds nice here. A 5th way to draw cards is with Will-O-Wisp. When I say, when I'm counting the ways of drawing cards, first of all, you can play a Highwayman every turn if you want. You can play 2 Battle Plans and 2 Warlords every turn if you want, which draw you cards. You can buy Expeditions. And then you can have Will-O-Wisps. Where is that card hiding? So Hakha wants a 2nd battle plan and then takes a mission turn. And I guess if you don't have any duration draw going on, you can just do the thing of play your abundance on a mission turn and then go from there. That would be like a nice thing, although hiding Warlord isn't that big of a deal if your opponent also has battle plans. Although if your opponent has more battle plans than you, they can definitely like sort of make it take a lot of extra time to find them again. So Hakha wants to reveal a Warlord for unknown reasons because you can't buy that thing. Maybe you trash the Silk Merchant for the niceness of that. Yeah, I don't know what the point of revealing Warlord is there, other than forgetting that you can't buy it. Well, it sort of makes sense to actually hide the extra battle plan, because if you want to do the thing that Jake Thriss wants to do, you have to have... It's only useful if your opponent doesn't have an extra battle plan lying around. And so maybe... You know, Hakha just very simply wants to prevent Tracer from being able to do the nice thing. The decks are going to start having more money, like, pretty fast. Even with the abundance in play, that helps things a lot. And I mean, of course, Cursed Gold is an extra $3 that just hasn't been played so much. I guess it's been played 4 times. Yeah. I kind of feel like I'm in the dark for a lot of the rotation decisions that have been happening, but of course it doesn't really end up mattering that much most of the time. Maybe you trash the Puka here. I also kind of like an archer, I think. Like maybe just archer and mission here is what gets bought. I don't know. Anytime it's the missions are starting to look a little bit spinny. You're like spending this extra money that you get from abundance to buy a mission, which you spend playing abundance. Although you also trash a card and do the archer attack, I guess, and buy a expedition. So it probably works out pretty nice. Hawkins said trashes the curse just to gain another curse. Buys a highwayman. No, that makes sense. And abundance. Okay, so just completely ignoring all that archer stuff, which also makes sense. Tracer might want to take the first Warlord. I feel like the first Highwayman is just better than the first Warlord, although maybe not for Tracer's deck, because Tracer is kind of happily harboring this terminal. You can also buy 2 Warlords, which puts a little bit of pressure down on Hakha to actually try to get them. In fact, like, I mean, Hakha just very simply does not have the ability to gain any Warlords in this turn, and that could be sort of nerve-wracking. That's just completely not true. Hakha can gain 1 Warlord very easily. I say easily. You'd have to notice the thing that lets you gain a Warlord. But yeah, as long as you have like 1 Warlord, I don't know. That's sort of my opinion with Warlord, even though I think I have clashes on dislike, and I also dislike the games that have clashes in them, and so I don't learn from them as well. But it does seem like 2 Warlords is not really better than 1 Warlord. The thing is, if you have 3 Warlords, it makes it, like, you know, that usually means that you threatened to, I didn't get a 4th one. Yeah, the one other thing about 4 Warlords is that, yeah, there's Wisp. You might be able to do like a lot of stuff with Pixies at some point. And then 4 Warlords also just means that you have 4 Warlords and you can draw the extra cards with them, which is really nice. It does seem fairly likely that you want to get stuff going on with, oh, that's really interesting to me. Okay, yeah, so screw the 2 Warlords. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just not going to say those things, unfortunately. Hakha has to want to get rid of this Puka at some point. Okay, I guess not. Are you going to get rid of the Cursed Gold? That's probably a bad idea. That's going to turn into a gold pretty soon, which is a great card. Maybe trashing a copper was better than an expedition there. I don't know. Because it turns out that Hakha just has Hakha has all of this extra stuff. Hakha is less stupid than Stockpile and more fun. That's probably true. I guess I don't call cards stupid, but I do call them silly, and I think that Stockpile is pretty silly. Abundance, I don't find Abundance that fun because the first couple times I saw it, I was like, this is like a pretty good looking card, but then I think that it's not. Whoa. Okay. Okay, finally. J-Nails. Hakha finally at least got rid of some of their draw. Which is the next best thing. Abundance is like a very cheap gold. In this board, it is a lot like that. I mean, it's very easy to sort of trip it because you can just buy a pixie if nothing else. The world is Hakha's oyster right now. You can get like a mission and a relic and 2 more pixies or something. Or maybe just swap something out with an abundance from there. Much to consider. Probably at least 1 relic is good, I think. But maybe now is when you skip the missions. Well, but they let you play the abundances still. And they still let you buy expeditions and stuff. And they let you play the relic. But they do run the risk of not letting you play the Highwayman again. Whoa. Okay. Sure. Probably, yeah, probably. I don't want a province, but I don't know. Sometimes those really good players get a province, and it turns out that it's good. I'm sure Hakha is thinking about whether to deny this undo. Sometimes I wonder about like the undos that are just genuinely like a bad play that and they forgot about. That's a good question. I mean, it said plays goat again. It's funny. Yeah, like I mean, Tracer just like forgot about Highwaymen. There's even this thing that reminds you about it. It like gives you that ruined mind thing. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure that's what happened. But there's definitely a universe in which Hakha is just like thinking it would save both of us a lot of time if I just instantly won this game. I think you have to respond to the undo by accepting it or denying it before you can offer your own undo. That's interesting. I don't know whether that's how that works, actually. So we're also at the point where missions are kind of slightly uncomfortable for Tracer, just because it's sort of more chances for the alternating draw to not work out. On the other hand, if they just buy a Highwayman and try to play it, then that would be good. Yeah, it definitely seems like there's just a lot more building to do. Oh man. Well, that's just too bad. Really? You're going to spend both of your villagers to do that? I guess one of them drew in abundance, so that's good. Or maybe both of them drew in abundance. No, only one drew in abundance. No, wait, yeah. I guess it's kind of bad for Hakha to do all of the. I mean, like a lot of what Hakha would have been spending extra buys on there would have been pixies, and those are getting risky. Or you just can't really count on the ultimate benefit of them, which is that you can get wisps. Because you don't want a lot of wisps. I mean, you want 2 wisps. That would be nice. Territory is just such a funny card. It's like so easy to forget about it. And then at some point you just like randomly get a Warlord Castles game. And it's just like sort of doomed to take like an hour to play it out. And then at the end of it, it's like, wait, there's this like extra card that's just like another humble castle. Except like a little bit better, but more expensive. Hooray. The curse has been lifted. Alright, chat. Over under. 0 Charlatans bought from here on out, or 1 or more. Hakka's just going to instantly buy one. Even though it's like not even Hakka's turn. I say never count it out. Yeah, you definitely want to get a chance to see that second battle plan. I don't know. That's up to you. Will the players gain another charlatan before the end of the game? Let's see if Tracer also gets intimidated by the provinces. Probably not. Relic sounds good. Maybe just another mission to play the abundances, but that's just kind of silly. do, 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 bu, 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 bu. Huh. Cool. Now, see, you gained the thing that you would want the tragic hero to turn into. So it's like you kind of double dipped there. This is probably worth taking. On the bottom right now is another battle plan. That's kind of unfortunate. Hakha can just buy a clean, honest province right here. And then there'll only be 6 of them left. Hard to come back from that. The other thing about Pixies against Warlord is that you can always just trash them. And then you won't have 2 Pixies in play anymore. So you can kind of get as many of them as you want. You just might have to take a boon that kind of sucks. Clean honest province. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, fine, whatever. Clean honest Pixie then. If you must. That's just like that was an abundance that spent a villager in order to play it. Clean honest province. Always an option. Tracer can actually instantly get 2 clean honest provinces though, right? I mean, just take a Pixie and then 2 provinces. Or a bunch of clean honest silk merchants. Or, okay. Okay. That probably makes more sense than just a Pixie. Yeah, baby. Hakha can only afford the one single clean on his province. And a tragic hero, I guess. I like tragic hero for Hakha for some reason. Territory sounds kind of bad. But probably better than a duchy, I guess, if you can afford it. Okay, I'm leaving commentary to you folks because I gotta go to the bathroom. Wow. And also my cat might chime in. I'm back, baby. Don't know if my cat had any really cogent stuff to add. He's like only level 51 or 52. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'm sure he was brilliant, though. Okay, so it looks like nothing has happened. Other than people just playing their cards and buying victory cards and whatever. There's really nothing like these boards where it's just, there like isn't any like actual payload. Maybe it's too cruel to say that only a mother could love this board. Wisp. No. It's hard to say what makes my cat get excited, but it's just like the most random things. My cat gets excited when he can like see like a nice part of my like shin or calf muscle to like bite. That looks like a kind of dangerous set of eyes to me. State. So what? Hakha has to get like a province and 2 duchies. That might not actually be very possible. Probably you want gold. Abundance is interesting. So this doesn't look like enough to, well, let's see. You can buy a pixie to get $4 extra. State and duchy are each worth an extra point because of the territory that Hakha has. I'll take your word for it. I think Hakha does not have an estate. I see 6 estates in the trash, and Tracer gained 1 last turn. Hakha can buy province duchy estate, right? And that's worth a total of 12 points. Hakha should take the tie, but they cannot because they went first. Something like territory, duchy, expedition might be their best bet. In that case, maybe they wanted to take the silk merchant over the pixie or something. Doesn't what win? I don't see a win. There's like a slight possibility that this next turn doesn't work out for Tracer. Kind of slim though. Yeah, they're going to draw 5 cards and then another 2. Well, they're going to draw 4 cards and then another 2. There's kind of not really a lot of point to scoring like a bunch of extra points for Hakha. Yeah, that I agree that probably wants to be a silk merchant. Unless it's just going to be something else. Or maybe they just leave the abundances down. I don't know. That would sort of make sense. No, I guess what they did is almost strictly better. No, that's not exactly true. I don't know. Okay, so this is a turn that did not work out for Tracer. Yeah, it's very tantalizingly close. Maybe they'll sort of magically pull out a way to do it. This looks like a probable hakha victory. I mean, they get 4 points with that territory. That's probably all there is to do. But I think that Hakha probably has it. Well, wait. So you have 6, 7, another 4 from the Pixie. So it's actually still, I think there still isn't a win here. Yeah, I think one of those things was supposed to be a territory from last turn, but that still wouldn't have worked. But there's still kind of another crummy turn coming up for Tracer in return. I said that there wasn't any point to like scoring extra for Hakha last turn, except we've sort of discovered the outcome in which they don't have enough points again after buying the province. Tracer's actually going to draw like a lot of cards this turn. No mission. I kind of don't get the point of mission. Mission sounds kind of bad. But I don't know what the right thing is for Hakha here. But, I mean, yeah, I guess. Well, the attack would be just finding the highwayman, really. And then they also get to do expeditions. Oh, and they get to flip away. Okay, so there's the highwayman. Okay, so that worked out. But it still probably won't be enough. Yeah, it's got to be good enough. Cool. So I have Tracer up 3-0. So actually, Tracer is now only 1 game away from winning, and Hakha is 2 games away. So let's see. Cool. And I have Tracer starting this game as well. That's what shows up on my screen. I don't know about you folks. I had it worked out that Tracer needed, wait, okay, yeah, Tracer, so this isn't one game away from winning. Tracer needs 4.5, I think. That's what I said at the beginning of the show. I don't know if it's accurate. I haven't fact-checked it. But I think that Tracer, or Hakha was up 3.5 at the end of the division. And 19.5 to win the league. Yeah. Yeah. So somehow I just got it in my head that Tracer needs to win 4 games, which is not true. Tracer needs to win 1.5 more games, as does Hakha. So they're actually on. No, that doesn't make sense. Why would they be on even ground now? Hakha needs to win 2 games, and Tracer needs to win 1.5. So Tracer definitely likes ties. This is a board that definitely could go tie word. No, there's a lot of... Once they start playing black cats, it's not going to work out like that. Why do I think that they're going to play black cats? No, they are going to play black cats. That's my promise to you. Buried treasure sounds good. Yep. My promise has come true. Well, it has not yet come true. The game might end before Tracer plays that black cat. Slightly awkward thing on this board is that you really want to trash stuff for things. The two culprits for that are Recruiter and Pickaxe. I wonder if you get a trader just because silvers are nice, because you once again have to trash stuff for stuff. Like there's a lot of like awkward but effective ways of just like putting value into your deck to trash it to Recruiters and Pickaxes. I'm sort of like looking at Armory as another thing, or just like buying stuff with buried treasure and stuff. At least for a very long time, they're just going to be like maximizing the upside of their cards. Actually, Tracer is about to run out of juice. Clean out of villagers here. Yes, there's not going to be a shortage of stuff to spend villagers on. Of course, if you're trying to draw with black cats, that's really villager intensive. Basically, no matter how many terminals you have, there's going to be comfortable ways of producing the villagers. It's just that some of them are kind of, you kind of want to do as little of that as possible. And of course, there's one really easy way to play black cats without spending any villagers, which is having them in your starting hand and your opponent buys a province. Which is to say that if Hakha takes an early province in this board, it's going to be suspiciouser than usual. The players could just completely ignore pickaxe. There's nothing... Pickaxe is always going to be only slightly better than anything else you could have bought. But it will probably... Yeah, suspiciouser. Shiftier. Kind of want to keep the estates. Trashing estates with recruiter is like very nice. So Hakha does a slightly different thing with the same amount of money. Possibly Tracer just is bent towards the armory because they're out of villagers and they need them for the Black Cat. Armory being the sort of main way that you would feed your recruiter. That way Armory is kind of like a acting troop. Because it puts something on top of your deck that recruiter trashes that's for villagers. There isn't really any good way for Tracer to spend all of the villagers here. Like, they kind of exactly didn't want to draw this recruiter. Yeah, pickaxe is good. Oh, because you have the horse. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's just that it takes a while to have a deck that is comfortable playing them. Like there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be sorted out before you are sort of happy doing explosive payload stuff. Something like a hammer would be like a really, really great early pickup. And of course there's like a bunch of loots that aren't such a big deal. Actually, Spell Scroll would be kind of unseasonably crummy. I wonder if you wanted to top deck a Black Cat first. Probably not. Probably that would have been really bad to do. Okay, so Hakha cracks open the pickaxes. But doesn't necessarily have anything to feed to them yet. I mean, you gotta come up with something. Like an armory or a trader. Trader, of course, gives you a ton of pickaxe food, but it also just, like, it spaces out your whole process for gaining stuff to take that much longer. Yeah, so Hakha wants to keep the estate, which makes sense to me. Maybe you trash the cargo ship here? That would make sense. Amphora is just like fine. I would say like really like Puzzle Box sounds really good just to put Black Cats in your hand for next turn in case somebody buys an early provinces. Buys an early province. Sword is always good. Shield is usually fine in case they get a sword. figurehead is really nice. I don't agree with that. They work together. And actually, shield is nicer when they have relic. I mean, you have to discard something anyway. In fact, like, yeah, like sword, people have like a lot of forms and stuff. And so you have to, it sort of pushes you into the realm of discarding a card that you wanted to see. Sort of an interesting trash. Oh, I see. Sextant isn't that great, although it was actually nice enough for Hakha this turn. Alright, I just have to say it. Who says more than 0 traders get gained this game? Vote on your phones now. It is like a nice card. I mean, you have like a lot of extra buys that you can just sort of hold the trader in your hand and use them to get silvers. I mean, you could end up with a lot of extra buys if you get the right loots for that. Although you can't always spend your extra buys on just other stuff. Yeah, trader to gain silvers, I guess, which you want. It's like silver is exactly the card that you want for pickaxe, basically. Other than like horse. Okay. Somebody could have gotten free points. That makes sense. I mean, maybe Tracer wants there to be more armories in the pile for whatever reason. Doesn't seem like the decks are really different enough to actually... Are you going to re-roll the Amphra? I guess not. Back extra trash or copper. Okay. Once again, vote on your phones now. From here on out, do any more traders get gained? I mean, it could happen even this turn. The numbers look kind of good for it. Okay, never mind. I would say that Tracer likes to have the piles be lower as the person, first of all, as the person that I think has more armory power in general. No, they both have the same armory power. Excuse me. But the person with more black cats definitely likes to see piles below. I mean, the person with... I shouldn't say that. That's not, like, clearly true. It's very hard to, like, sort of suddenly pile out and win whenever your opponent has black cats. Actually, maybe Hakka's just keeping the extra estate for that reason and doesn't want to trash it at all. They just want to kind of have it, which also makes a lot of sense. This turn sucks. Okay, so maybe maybe Tracer wants the piles to be higher just because they don't have the estate in their deck. Yeah, that's always something that I think about less often than I ought to. Mick Cusinach always says maybe it's a good idea to like keep an extra estate in my deck. Ooh, getting rid of the recruiter is interesting. Maybe that's probably all well and good. Yeah, so maybe traders get gained not because they do anything interesting, although they do, I promise you that much, but only because they, you just need cards that cost 4, and Tracer's probably scared to lower the armories too much, for good reason. Maybe you can't even stomach that. Oh. Maybe you take one armory here. Yeah, probably the person who has more black cats is actually happy to see a longer game play. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay, that didn't occur to me. That you can just completely empty the piles. If it had occurred to me, I would have said something like, oh, Tracer could just empty the piles here, which I conspicuously did not say. Okay, cool. So Tracer just needs a tie out of these last two games, and Hakha needs to win both of them. Cool. It does seem like Tracer has been playing very well, at least. Not that there's any of those games in particular that Hakha looked like they got lucky and Tracer sort of came back from it, but it just looked like, I don't know. Looks like Tracer is kind of playing the slightly better things. This is a game that has urchins. Yeah, one way or another, it's got to be painful to sort of be like losing these games in sequence, and that's the only way that you can lose. I'm pretty sure both of these people have multiple league victories, or at least one. Pretty sure I've seen both of them win before. That might not be true. I could be just completely lying. Not taking the third urchin is scary, although they can easily do it on this turn if you were to just simply think of what else is in the shuffle. Good idea with the Night Watchman there. Although, yeah. Ooh, yeah, okay. No, the mercenary goes into the shuffle before the urchin resolves, which has, you can see that happening. In this board, the opening is pretty straightforward. Or rather, the second shuffle is pretty straightforward. I mean, you have to think about whether you want to do like a workshop stupid thing, but maybe you just want to get urchins. It could complicate a little bit once you start to ask what order you do the other stuff in. I mean, I'm pretty sure you just do livery and then gain a bunch of villas and stuff. Tracer takes a silver, which basically makes sense. They get rid of everything else in the shuffle just to try to, I don't know, maybe you want to leave one card on top so that the mercenary gets into this next shuffle. But if you maybe if you do that, you don't. Well, yeah, they saw the mercenary right there. So yeah, that's a little bit of an awkward discarding. Like that one might have been a miscount, but I don't know. Yeah, I think you would want to see the mercenary again in this next shuffle, so that was probably a misplay. Second mercenary is a little bit tricky. I do feel like I lose the games that I get a second mercenary, just because you trash all your cards so fast and you actually get fewer militia attacks off. And then also you have to sort of spend some extra effort to make sure that you can play both of the mercenaries, and that usually is a little bit misplaced too early on. So I've been dubious of getting a second mercenary lately, even though I do still do it like very often. Yeah, so Tracer has yet another slightly awkward shuffle with the mercenary. But Tracer still looks pretty ahead here, I think. Yeah, there's going to be a large amount of horsing around for both players. Maybe the first Hakha likes being the first person to resolve the livery. And getting the next one is really nice. Okay, so maybe I like Hakha's seat at the table better. I don't know. Probably eventually you do some monument stuff. And by that I mean gain a monument, and probably not really more than one. Winning the villa split seems pretty important. I actually wouldn't be very surprised if Hakha just grabs one here. No, Caravan also makes a lot of sense, and probably more, but still. Because you can definitely use all of those actions very comfortably. Okay, I see that Vineyard is on this board, so the points that you get from Monument probably do not even almost matter. No, they probably almost matter, but they don't. The score for this match so far is that Tracer has won 4 games and Hakha has won 0, so there's 2 left. Hakha has to win both of them in order to win the championship, and then Tracer just has to tie at least one of them. I don't know if that person is in the game chat and can hear me. Or is in the voice chat. You probably do want to win the horse split, although... yeah, 3-1 Tracer is an interesting way of putting it. It is 4-0, although, well, it sort of like simulates it, the 3-1. It's sort of more like 3.5 or 2.5, 0.5. No, that also doesn't make sense. It's like 2.5 to 0. That also doesn't make sense. Did Tracer win the first... Or wait, did Hakha win the first game? Am I just like completely misremembering how this went? Okay, I've just been saying an incorrect thing this entire time, I think. So, Tracer still needs to win 1 game and tie another game. Yeah, I've been propagandizing this idea that it's 4-0 in favor of Tracer, but Hakha did win the first game, and I completely forgot. Okay, so Hakha needs to win one game, and Tracer needs to win one game and tie another game. Hakha needs 1.0 more games, I think. Yeah. And Tracer needs 1.5 more games. So Tracer has 18 wins, and Hakha has 18. Wait. They're playing 6. I have that Hakha won the first game and Tracer won the next 3. Yeah. Did Hakha need 1.5 heading into the match? I guess A-Libby's like the Epic League person that would probably know. Okay, so I think I said it completely backwards then. By virtue of having incorrectly labeled multiple facts about this match, which is something that I am known to do. Potion. I feel like you wanted a workshop there. Actually, like... No, that doesn't make sense. I see. How did I not add that up correctly? I say as if it would be, as if it wouldn't be very easy for me to just not think of this correctly. I don't know if I did the show kingdom for this at all. Here it is for the viewers at home. I really like Hakha's workshop. Not that, I just kind of, I enjoy workshops. Oh, so Hakha just completely ran out of draw. That feels like that could have been avoided. But yeah, winning the Villa split seems nice. Does seem pretty hard for Tracer to straight up pile. Tracer has like what? A bunch of liveries. 0 workshops. So Tracer should have exactly 6 buys. Probably it's not hard to come across $26. No, maybe it is. Tracer should have like 4 or 5 liveries, 5 villas, not that many coppers. Mercenary can just trash horses if you needed to. That adds up to like maybe $25 in my head. And a potion. Yeah, workshop sounds great to me. I still like it. I like the workshop. So Tracer is ahead, or Hakka's ahead right now. I think Tracer at 18 and Hakha at 19.5 is what I have. So switch your 18 and your 19. And you need 20 to win, I think. Okay, yeah, so Tracer has exactly $25, which is what I said. No, wait, what? Tracer has exactly $22, which is different from what I said. But I guess I thought that they had 5 liveries. Oh yeah, Tracer does not, unfortunately, have a workshop. Ugh. Yes, thank you. Probably just 3 potions here. 20 to win allegedly, yeah. I mean, it's just that, like, if somebody gets to 20 points, they end up winning. It's sort of like, I mean, if you just think of Hakha as having 0 and Tracer as having negative 0.5, and there's 2 more games for them to play, then there you go. I think you might as well just keep getting potions. I mean, you can buy as many as you want. Hakha can probably gain 2 vineyards. This actually looks like Tracer's game to win, though. Or Tracer's game to lose, or Tracer's going to win this game, or any of several ways that I could have arranged that thought. Caravan is really interesting. No, that actually basically makes sense. Yeah. I once again say that this is Tracer's game to trace. You actually, it looks like these decks are sort of, there's enough general crud in them that they're finding ways to be scared about drawing, I guess. And also both of them have 5 villas, which is only barely enough to play everything. In fact, it's like not enough to play everything. It's funny that they're like running out of. I mean, Tracer can comfortably threaten the pile out next, or like this turn that they're about to have, because there's only like 5 things for them to have to gain, and they can definitely afford it. It's funny that it's worked out that at least on Tracer's end, they didn't like pile out the horses on their turn. I think they like got exactly to the end of the horse pile. Like all of their gains got exactly the amount of horses that they were supposed to. Hakha's probably going to run out of horses on this turn, though. Yeah, so I think that Tracer's buys were pretty good. I mean, that number 27 victory points is nearly unimpeachable. Wait, what? 30 VP? What? Ooh, okay. Maybe I shouldn't have incorrectly stated that their 27 victory points is nearly unimpeachable, because what would they do here? Crap. I'm getting kicked out again. Oh. Uh-oh. I think that okay. Come on, man. Can I go to like google.com? Googleck. Yeah, I can do Googleck. Okay. Okay, Tracer, or Hakha, seems to have still not achieved victory yet, in spite of my absence. Okay, so where did this number come from, 30 VP? They can buy a vineyard, which is going to be worth like a huge amount of points. And then they can presumably buy out liveries and caravans, or rather they can gain out some of the caravans and buy out 2 liveries and a caravan, and then buy provinces or something. So huge number of actions for the vineyard. That would be like 14 plus 10 plus 8, which is 32. Maybe something else on the deck. And then there would also be 5 more cards, which would make 37. So the vineyard would be worth a comfortable 12 points. And then you could maybe gain like, oh crap. What's going on here? Is this really just that my internet is like so bad? Every time I like tab over to Discord, it says that it's still connected in voice, but my client just keeps crashing over and over again. The YouTube viewers have seen the number of characters in my Dominion.games password like 30 times. It just depends on what's on top, and I kind of don't know why Hakha hasn't played this Urchin, because I want to know what their last card is. Think of the viewers at home. But yeah, I'm not counting that Hakha gets enough victory points, I think. Yes. Okay. So that's just that's something that I haven't thought of at all, but is definitely true. I've reconnected to this game 3 times, and I'll do it again. I'll reconnect to this game 10 times if I have to see the end of it. Which I will have to. Go on, man. Right here, let me go back and connect from the start. Okay. Turn to lobby, please. Do you need to see the cards? Okay. But now I don't see the log. Now I see the log. Well, you can't play the other workshop, so it makes it hard to pile and win. Yeah. If they spend a workshop to gain a potion, it means that they have to like buy out all of the liveries and caravans manually. Wait, what? Oh, they just have a potion on top. What the hell? The viewers at home. Okay, now is where you stop and think. So who likes this tie? Hakha does not like this tie. All right, well that sucks. Can I have it undo? Make sure you consider all of your options. Hakha just has an extra buy that they have nothing that they can do with. Okay, so do we have one last game for all the marbles? And Hakha has to at least tie it. So this is like a kind of an Armageddon game, which I think Alibi also said like 12 minutes ago. What was the number? Oh, okay. The viewers at home would have liked to see that end game screen for a longer time. Okay, here's our final board. Currency featuring the Alchemist. Here's the clashes again if you didn't get them last time. This is just like a cruel board. Alright, it's preventing me from seeing it once again. Yeah, my client is once again just very stressed at the drama of this final game. And it just saw the sheer attackiness of it and was like, I can't take it. Come on. Okay, cool. I'm back, baby. I understand your frustration. There's like so many attacks on this board. Can we have that thing that I think JC Thrust said, which is the battle plan draws you a card for every different action you have? Golden Sombrero is this thing where both of your opening buys end up on the bottom. I guess it kind of didn't exactly happen for Hakha because Hakha only bought a witch, so they just bottom decked a witch, which happens from time to time. I think it's like a baseball term originally where you just like fail to do anything. Somebody, either the pitcher or the batter fails to do anything, like you strike out in 3 pitches or something. I seem to have once again crashed. That's fine. Sheepdog is like great. So this is just going extremely well for Tracer. I guess I don't even need to trigger the shuffle there. Yeah. Yes. Man. This is just kind of brutal. I mean, it's kind of weird that Tracer doesn't... I mean, I feel like Tracer should seem more ahead than they are, but they definitely seem like really ahead. Could not mistake that. Maybe the one thing is that the battle plan tempo is sort of invisible, and it also doesn't affect the game that much. Like, I don't think that Tracer's going to get a whole lot of mileage out of being able to decide when... Oh, man. Okay. um... Yeah, so Tracer isn't going to get a whole lot of mileage out of like flipping the Warlord at the right time, but that's only because they're just going to have won the game. Like, the game is just going to be empty. The entire game is going to be empty. Every single pile is going to be empty by the time that Tracer flips Warlord up, so it's not such a big deal. Gain a gold. Each other player gains a curse. Each player who did draws 8 cards. Excuse me, only... Nope, they did draw 8 cards off of it. Okay, do you remember that thing I was saying earlier about how Tracer doesn't actually seem to be that ahead? Jeez. I would want to make sure that you have 2 transmogrifies always. Okay, so Tracer does seem to have 2 transmogrifies already on the mat. So that's another card that's like invisibly making them be ahead. The one last thing that Tracer can do is discard attack every turn with Skirmisher. That should be pretty easy to do. Tracer doesn't even need to play the Witch here. Oh. If you want to, you can play the Witch. Have them play out all their sheepdogs and then just attack them. So Hakha can't even really get away with playing the sheepdogs. Sheepdog is pretty good with the way they're at, yeah. At least it's just like nice. But sheepdog is good with like a lot of ways. Who's to say what's happening right now? I keep getting kicked from the lobby, and one of these times I'm going to come back and suddenly Hakha's winning again. I see somebody has said in the chat, is this winning? Probably yes. But you didn't actually get an attack off that, did you? Or did you? Wait, why did that happen? Oh, you just double played the Skirmisher, I guess. Still, after all this time, yeah, Tracer kind of has to buy a duchy. Ooh. So there's like, I don't know, there could have been like a really funny sequence of duds, which unfortunately did not happen. All right, so that was just like a pile driver for game 6. I think that's like the end of the whole deal. Both of them are probably like tapping out to message Dombot to see what the match is. Hakha did it first and says congrats, or maybe Tracer just sort of didn't know what to say. You never really feel that good after you win a game 6 like that. I mean, maybe Tracer does. I shouldn't speak for them. My client has once again crashed, so I'm missing their final endgame discussions. Hakha's probably saying something like, what a game 6, huh? And Tracer is like either not responding or saying like, yes. An amazing comeback in game 2, as I thought I had it. Yes. That was like Tracer just getting right down to the wire, sort of finding the ways that they end up winning, and then they just sort of did it. I hope that you've enjoyed, I hope that the YouTube viewers have enjoyed seeing what it's like to get kicked out of the client. Because, you know, it's like a sort of novel experience. I was not thinking it would happen. Yeah, I definitely wasn't either. I was sort of like, I mean, I think that was one of the times that I was getting kicked away from the client, or maybe I'm just sort of saying that and making an excuse. But they found the line there, which was really good. They and sort of sequenced the wishes and scholars and things very nicely. All right, this looks like it's over. Thanks for listening to my commentary, everybody. See you next season, I guess, where I won't be playing and I probably won't be commentating, but still see you. Okay, goodbye.